Hello all you beautiful people and lovers of food. Today we're going to be making a milk-tart. My name is Vivian and I am your easy chef. For you that don't know at home, a milk-tart or milk-tart is a traditional South African dessert, also a tea time favorite. It is basically a cooked milk custard that has just been thickened a little bit and topped with cinnamon. It is super delicious, it's not intimidating to make, and even if you mess it up, I promise you people will eat it. For our milk tart, what we need a nice tart shell. And this is super easy to make, and if you want to know how, because I've already made mine, please go have a look at my apple pie video. It gives you the exact steps on how to make a nice pastry. It is just a sweet pastry, a pate sucre if you will, and it is good for most tarts, pies and pastries. So we're going to use it and get cracking. I like to put some flour down on the surface just so that my dough won't stick. And I also like to put some on top of the dough so that while I'm rolling it out, it doesn't stick to the rolling pin either. This is something that you can do by feel. You don't have to be too perfect about it. As long as nothing is sticking, you should be good. Pate Sucre really is one of these nice pastries where if it cracks a little bit or it looks a little bit damaged, you can really just stick a little piece on and patch it up. Works like a charm, and it really is easy to work with, so you guys really shouldn't be worried about making any of these tart shells. I've rolled my pastry between 3 and 5 millimeters thick. I find that this is a nice thickness because it's still manageable. You can roll it onto your rolling pin, which is a nice little trick for moving your pastry without it tearing too much. I like to use a little bit of spray and cook for the cooking of my pastry. This is an obvious thing because you don't want your pastry to stick. And it's always good to know the size of the tin you want to use before you put your pastry in, just to know that you are going to make it the right size. Look how beautiful it is! What we're going to do with this one is we're going to neaten up the edges. For the previous apple pie recipe, I left it a little bit rustic and a little bit messy, but this one we're serving out of this beautiful Le Creuset pie dish, so I want it to look perfect. I'm just taking a knife and running it around the edge, but you can also do decorative pinches or whatever you feel is nice. You can always reuse this extra pastry. Once or twice is fine. After that, I would maybe throw it away. This looks perfect. This looks great. What we want to do now is we just want it to rest in the fridge or in the freezer just for a couple of minutes so that all the batter hardens up a little bit again and it doesn't shrink so much when we put it into our oven. I cover my pastry in cling wrap, and normally you would put it in the fridge, but I like to just put it in the freezer. It takes a little bit less time and allows you to carry on with your cooking. Our pastry is now out of the fridge. All we're going to do is poke a few holes in it, put in egg wash, and then put it in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes until it's nice and golden brown. Hopefully in that time we can get our filling finished and pour it in straight away, top it with some cinnamon, and our milk tart is done. I like to poke holes in my pastry so that it doesn't puff up or rise up, and then it will leave more space for your filling. I also then do an egg wash. This also helps make a nice barrier between our filling and our pastry so our pastry doesn't get soggy. This is in the oven for 15 minutes at 180 degrees or until golden brown. Next is our filling, and this is really such a simple filling. What we do is we take our milk and we put a little bit of butter and vanilla and we bring it to a low simmer. So you don't need it to boil, you don't want it to boil, you just want it to get nice and hot. And then we're going to add it to our thickening agents, which in this case are eggs, a little bit of sugar, this is just for sweetness, and corn flour. The corn flour is what's going to set it while it's in the fridge and help thicken it up. And this is really such a quick and simple process. We simply whisk these ingredients together, and then what we do is we take half of our hot milk mixture and we put it into our egg mixture. The reason why you don't want to put everything is sometimes you can cook your eggs too quickly. This is just a nice way to temper it. And then we're going to move this mixture back into the pot and bring it up to temperature slowly. While we wait for our mixture to thicken, I like to just keep stirring so that you know it isn't catching at the bottom. You can do this slowly and gently, it's quite relaxing. And then we shouldn't have any lumps in anything. You would have whisked that out in your bowl. So we just keep doing this until it's nice and thick. You know your mixture is ready when you run your finger through the mixture. It shouldn't run. It should leave a nice stripe so you know that your mixture is nice and thick. Our tart shell is out the oven and done. We can now put our mixture into our tart shell and put it into the fridge to cool. It is generally better to put your filling in while it is still warm, because if it cools down, it often gets a little bit of a skin on it or lumps. So I like to do it while it's hot, and as soon as it's in the pan, I also then coat it with the magic ingredient, which is cinnamon. This is what gives milk tarts its distinctive flavor. So our milk tart is done. The filling is in, the cinnamon is on. Now all it has to do is cool down in the fridge. Inside the fridge, it's going to get nice and cold and firm up quite a lot. It is traditionally served cold, so all we have to do is wait. And here we have it, a milk tart. The pastry is crisp and sweet. The pie is soft and delicate. And you know, if you're South African, you want to cut a nice big slice, because even if you've had a nice big slice, you're probably going back for seconds. It is such a must, such a treat. And if you're not from South Africa, you have to try this. There's a reason this is a traditional South African favorite. There's never going wrong with a milk tart on a hot day, on a cold day. It is just the perfect treat. It's so creamy, it's so smooth. The cinnamon is the star, and it's just so delicious. And it's so nostalgic for me because I've grown up eating this. Guys, you gotta try it. If you guys have another tart that you think I might be able to make for you, or something you think is better than a milk tart, please let me know in the comments below. And while you're at it, please hit the like button and subscribe. Ring the bell so you get notifications of when another video comes out. If you'd like to see another traditional South African favorite, please watch this video next. Stay delicious, beautiful people. Bye.